afraid to be against fascism, and she's trying to make me afraid.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem visits an ICE facility in Portland today as the legal fight continues over deploying National Guard troops in that city. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Secretary Noem met with Oregon Governor Tina Kotek today, who says she made it clear there is not an insurrection in her state, and she doesn't believe there's a legal basis for troops to be there. Secretary Noem's motorcade arrived at that ICE facility this afternoon. She says troops are needed on the ground there to protect federal agents. However, the deployment of troops in Portland is on hold following a federal court ruling. Officials closed streets around the ICE building ahead of Noem's visit today. Fox 12's McKenna Marks has more tonight from Portland.
Right now I'm standing along McAdam, and from where I'm standing, this seems to be the best view of the front of the ICE building. But as you can see, PPB and some federal agents are gathered in front of the street, and then past them, past that stop sign, that's where most of the protesters seem to have gathered. Now, earlier this afternoon, we did see one person being detained by PPB, but other than that, we have not seen any physical altercations or arrests. Now, as you can see here in this area, Portland Police still has the area surrounding the ICE building closed off. Earlier, we saw one person try to bike through this closed off area, but they were immediately redirected by PPB without any issues. We've learned that Secretary Kristi Noem has since left the building, but the reason for these roadblocks was because of her visit. We were here when her motorcade arrived at the ICE building earlier this afternoon. At one point, we saw her up on the roof with a group of people, but that's the only time we were able to get eyes on her before she left the building just after 2 o'clock. Protesters have been split up into 3 areas surrounding the building because of the roadblocks. I spoke to a protester who wanted to come down to the building today because of Noem's visit.
I am not afraid to be against fascism, and she's trying to make me afraid, so I had to come down in this scary outfit to make sure it's clear that we as Portlanders will not be intimidated.
Other protesters I've spoken to tell me they are concerned about the narrative the Trump administration has been pushing about what's going on in Portland. But folks have also said they're not discouraged and plan to keep protesting outside of the ICE building. Again, we know that Noem left the building just after 2 p.m. this afternoon. Earlier in the day, we know that she met with a long list of local officials, including Oregon State Police Superintendent Casey Cotting, Multnomah County Sheriff Nicole Morrissey O'Donnell, and Portland Police Chief Bob Day. Now, we'll continue to keep you updated as we continue to learn more information about the exact purpose of Secretary Noem's visit here in Portland. But until then, reporting from South Portland, McKenna Marks, Fox 12 Oregon.
We turn now to the government shutdown and the impact on the nation's airports. The FAA says Harry Reid Las Vegas Airport is among several nationwide experiencing more delays tonight due to an air traffic controller shortage. Dallas-Fort Worth Airport and Houston's George Bush Airport also on that list. And the tower at the Nashville airport is reportedly understaffed at this hour. Now, this all comes after the tower at Burbank Airport went unmanned for several hours last night in Southern California. Fox 11's Mario Ramirez spoke to passengers who seem to be taking those developments in stride.
Staffing shortages created a travel nightmare from about 4:15 to 10 o'clock last night. There were no controllers in the Burbank Tower. Operations were instead handled remotely out of Southern California Tracon, a control facility in San Diego that manages approaching and departing flights across the region. By 11 o'clock here last night, planes were still taking off, even though Burbank quiets down after its voluntary 10 o'clock curfew. And because of this government shutdown, air traffic controllers have been working without pay. The FAA confirming staffing shortages hit several airports nationwide, including Denver, Detroit, Indianapolis, and Phoenix, triggering delays and cancellations across the country. And those worries about disrupted travel, well, they're carrying over this morning with passengers we spoke with.
My husband texted me because he knew I was on this flight, and he said, because of the shutdown, there's air traffic controllers that might not be coming in, and so it might affect our flight. So far, our flight's on time, though.
My niece is in the Navy, and so they're not getting paid right now. It wasn't a big deal to pass the bill. The bill was good, so they need to just make adjustments and get on with it.
And during the last government shutdown in 2018 through early 2019, it lasted 35 days. Airports nationwide saw massive disruptions. Unpaid TSA workers called out sick. Air traffic controllers sued the government. And we even saw Miami International close a terminal temporarily. And now the FAA and TSA are already short-staffed, including about 3,000 fewer controllers than needed nationwide. This airport alone, officials say more than 80 delays were recorded and over a dozen canceled flights as we're now in day 7 of the government shutdown. And there's really no guarantee that this won't happen again from one day to the next.
And that was Fox 11's Mario Ramirez reporting tonight. The Trump administration now is suggesting that the more than 750,000 federal workers currently furloughed may not receive back pay once the government does reopen.
I would say it depends on who we're talking about. I can tell you this, the Democrats have put a lot of people in great risk and jeopardy, but it really depends on who you're talking about. But for the most part, we're going to take care of our people. There are some people that really don't deserve to be taken care of, and we'll take care of them in a different way. Okay? Thank you.
And the president's remarks echo a draft memo from the Office of Management and Budget that was reported on by several outlets. The memo reportedly contradicts a law signed by President Trump after the record 35-day shutdown in 2019. The Government Employee Fair Treatment Act ensures federal workers receive back pay during any federal funding lapse. Senator Patty Murray from Washington responded on X saying, quote, "The letter of the law is as plain as can be. Federal workers, including furloughed workers, are entitled to their back pay following a shutdown, another baseless attempt to try and scare and intimidate workers by an administration run by crooks and cowards." White House officials have continued to threaten mass layoffs if the shutdown continues. Democrats and Republicans remain deadlocked over how to reopen the government. Democrats are demanding any bill that passes include an extension of Obamacare subsidies and a rollback of Medicaid cuts. Tonight, authorities in Sacramento are investigating what caused a medical helicopter to crash in the middle of a busy freeway, critically injuring 3 people. That chopper crashed into the lanes of Highway 50 last night after a mid-air emergency. The pilot, a nurse, and a paramedic on board all were rushed to the hospital. One of those victims was trapped underneath the wreckage, and bystanders had to come in and help lift the helicopter off of them. Authorities say nobody on the ground was hurt, and the helicopter did not hit any cars, which is remarkable. In Washington, authorities have arrested a man accused of breaking into the state capitol and vandalizing the building. Prosecutors say 29-year-old Gunnar Schubert was seen on security video Sunday night wreaking havoc inside the Capitol in Olympia. Authorities say he tore down flags and signs and even started fires. He was booked on suspicion of first-degree burglary, first-degree arson, and first-degree malicious mischief. The suspect is due in court this Friday. The U.S. Supreme Court today heard arguments about so-called conversion therapy in a case originating from Colorado. Conversion therapy is the largely discredited practice of trying to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. The High Court is hearing a challenge to a Colorado law that bans the therapy. The majority on the High Court appear poised to rule against Colorado's ban. As Fox's Rich Edson explains tonight, this ruling could affect California and 19 other states that also ban conversion therapy.
On the second day of its term, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments in a case challenging a Colorado law banning licensed therapists from providing conversion therapy to minors. It centers around Kaylee Childs, a therapist and practicing Christian, who sued the state because she says the ban violates her freedom of speech.
I want what is best for my clients. And often they seek me out because we have a shared faith.
About 20 other states have laws that prohibit offering children therapy to change their sexual orientation or their gender identity.
This law tells them that if they're seeking help in one direction, that licensed mental health professionals and counselors are not available to them.
But Colorado says there's a mountain of evidence to the contrary, that conversion therapy has been linked to serious harm and can cause depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts.
The idea that there could be a First Amendment exemption to this is dangerous, can create a lot of mischief.
The state argues therapy is not just speech, but health care, and should be subjected to regulation.
People hold themselves out as professionals who are operating based on a standard of care. That's very different than private conversations about matters that could be of public or scientific concern.
though some in the court's conservative majority seemed unconvinced. Justice Samuel Alito said the law, quote, looks like blatant viewpoint discrimination. Later this term, the court will consider whether states can ban transgender athletes from competing on girls' school sports teams. At the Supreme Court, Rich Edson, Fox News.
The Colorado Bureau of Investigation announced today it's reviewing the 2005 death of renowned journalist and author Hunter S. Thompson. Authorities say the 67-year-old died by suicide at his home near Aspen. The sheriff's office says there's no new evidence that suggests foul play in Thompson's death, but they've agreed to reopen the case after being contacted by his widow. Investigators did not give any sort of an estimate on how long this review might take. A Los Angeles County jury today awarded a nearly $1 billion verdict to the family of a woman who died of mesothelioma in 2021 after using Johnson & Johnson's baby powder. During the trial, the plaintiff's attorneys presented internal company documents and expert testimony showing Johnson & Johnson had long known that its talc products contained asbestos but continued to sell them without warning consumers. Lawyers for the family say this is the largest verdict ever against Johnson & Johnson in a mesothelioma case linked to talc products. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, the University of California gained some serious bragging rights today. The 3 winners of the Nobel Prize in Physics, all UC professors. We'll show you the celebration for one of them coming up tonight. Also, the massive new Hard Rock Casino about to open, and it's expected to give Las Vegas casinos a run for their money.
And how about this? It looks pretty quiet right now, but how the remnants of a hurricane could affect the West Coast. We've got the West Coast Wrap forecast is coming up after this fast Fox break.
An Arizona man who used Instagram to deal drugs was sentenced today to more than 9 years in prison. Prosecutors say Joshua Lubisher sold LSD to a minor back in January and offered to sell cocaine and Xanax. During a search of his home later, police say they recovered a variety of drugs, including LSD, mushrooms, marijuana, and cannabis vapes. The 2025 Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded today to 3 California professors, one of them at UC Berkeley, the other 2 from UC Santa Barbara. As KTVU's Janet Katsuyama reports tonight, the 3 are being honored for their work in the 1980s on quantum physics. Hopefully, we can get Jana's story queued up for you there and get that to you later on in this newscast. But meantime, we will move along here, and pop superstar Taylor Swift is now clearing some things up about whether she turned down the Super Bowl halftime show this year following speculation that she might take the stage. The NFL announced that Bad Bunny would be performing at the halftime show this year during Super Bowl 60, which is being played in the Bay Area. TMZ's Charles Ladaboudiere told us that Taylor Swift's decision to not perform stemmed from concerns about the well-being of her fiancé, Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce.
I can't be interested in that right now because I'm in love with a guy who's actually playing that game, who's playing that sport, and who is going into battle every week. And she said, during the season, I'm locked in on that.
And the Super Bowl is set for February 8th at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. Well, Las Vegas is about to get some more competition when a massive new casino opens up in Central California. The new Hard Rock Casino Tejon is set to open its doors in just over a month in Kern County, just south of Bakersfield. The $600 million property boasts 150,000 square feet of gaming space, 2,000 slot machines, and 50 live gaming tables. It's expected to create about 1,000 jobs in the area. The casino is owned by the Tejon Indian tribe and will be managed by Hard Rock International. The expected opening date for the casino is November 13th. Turning now to talk about our weather here in the West, and let's pop you outside and give you a live look at downtown San Francisco. Looking beautiful tonight. Let's bring in meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez to talk more about the changes we are likely to see this week.
No, you're not going to get off that easily. You're talking about a Hard Rock Casino near Bakersfield?
Yeah, that's it.
You mean
you're going to go?
If I'm driving a Barstow before I hit the Tehachapi Pass, I can
just hang a left.
That's dangerous. Hi, everybody. Okay, you want some danger? Let's talk about this. It's a Category 2 hurricane. Its name is Priscilla. It's about 355 miles just off the Cabo San Lucas coast. Now, good news is it's not going to make a direct hit, but it's running parallel. So dangerous waves, life-threatening waves, also dangerous rip currents and copious amounts of rain as well as wind. But watch this. If you watch the timing, take a look at it as it continues to ride in a northerly direction. It's falling apart at the seams because it's hitting the colder waters of the Pacific Ocean. But keep in mind that these feeder bands can extend out a good 200, 250 miles, so it could bring some subtropical moisture in the form of rain and even thunderstorm activity to San Diego, Los Angeles, also the Arizona area. Doesn't quite make it past the Los Angeles region, but then we go and take a look at our futurecast, our Fox computer model, and we see that we have a cold front. It's descending out of the Gulf of Alaska. It is enhancing that marine layer. So here's your Wednesday from Mendocino County all the way into, like, let's say Napa County, Lake County. We do have a thickening marine layer, and then we could see some drizzle from that subtropical moisture move into the San Francisco area by Thursday morning, backing off because of this cold front. So I have two kind of collisions here, and then this cold front falls apart, but we could see some light rain showers knocking on the back door of Santa Rosa, Cotati, Pengro, Sebastopol, and Guerneville before it all pushes out. Meanwhile, high temperatures today was 89 degrees in Redding and in Sacramento. It was 91 degrees in Phoenix and actually in Tucson. But meanwhile, Phoenix had 99 degrees, and that's pretty much where you should be for this time of the year. Marine layer enhanced over the Los Angeles and Santa Monica area with a high temperature of 77, which is pretty typical for this time of the year. Average high in San Francisco, 74. And look at the marine layer begin to surge in the early afternoon hours. And then we take you to Seattle. Bright sunshine, 75 degrees. But, oh, that's going to change in a hurry. With that cold front descending on the Pacific Northwest, we are talking about some rain showers moving into the Seattle and Portland area. San Francisco, you too could see some light rain showers by the end of the work week, and the weather will be unsettled by the end of the week in Los Angeles and certainly throughout Arizona.
Yeah, looks like it. All right, Roberta, thank you. Let's get you back now to that story about the Nobel Prize winners. We were telling you just a moment ago the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded earlier today to 3 California professors, one of them from UC Berkeley, the other 2 from UC Santa Barbara. And as KTVU's Janet Katsuyama tells us tonight, the 3 of them are being honored for work they did back in the 1980s on quantum physics.
A big celebration at the University of California, Berkeley Tuesday for Professor Emeritus of Physics, John Clark, who learned in a phone call overnight that he had won the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physics.
I'm just blown away. It's something that was so totally unexpected. I mean, not in my wildest dream would I have expected this to happen.
Clark received the prize with 2 other scientists who had been on Clark's research team at Berkeley, his postdoc, Michel Devoret, and Clark's doctoral student, John Martinez, who both went on to UC Santa Barbara.
This year's prize is about encountering quantum mechanics on a new scale.
At UC Berkeley in the 1980s, the team discovered the principle in quantum mechanics of macroscopic tunneling, where particles are able to move through a barrier with varying voltages. Research, he says, that paved the way for advances in quantum computing and even devices such as the iPhone.
Our discovery enabled this to be applicable to something that you can consider to be, a giant atom, a gigantic atom, and that's what made all this other technology possible.
Clark says his research received federal funding and says during these times of federal cuts to research, he hopes this will remind people why basic science is critically important.
You have to keep on trying to do this very basic science because you just don't know what's going to come out of it.
Clark also says UC Berkeley played a big role in his ability to pursue research.
One of the things that has made the Berkeley Physics Department such a great place to work is the fact that we have this enormous amount of support. And I think that that's absolutely crucial. It provided me with a lot of lab space.
And Clark had this message to young researchers.
That there are very few projects that I started on that, in fact, I completely gave up on. And I think it's a question of trial and error and patience and understanding if it doesn't work, why it doesn't work.
One other honor Clark received is a special parking pass. UC Berkeley has reserved spots for their Nobel laureates, and the UC president said today that he wanted to congratulate the 3 award winners. He says that there are 74 people with UC who have received the Nobel Prize, and 23 of those has been in physics. Reporting from UC Berkeley, Jana Katsuyama, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
All right, still to come tonight here on West Coast Wrap, why a Southern California community is so grateful to see a local gas station's mascot back out in front of the business. We'll tell you what we know tonight about who stole Claire the dinosaur. Tonight, a beloved dinosaur statue stolen from a Southern California gas station is now back where it belongs. The alleged thief returned it with a note apologizing for their bad deed. Fox 11's Laura Diaz has more now from the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles.
So glad he's back. So cute.
Every season there's a different costume for Claire, and we like doing our little photo ops before we take off for the ride. You got to post on social, right?
Yeah, they made a character out of her.
When we pulled that cover off, and there she was, and it was like my little baby had come home.
That's the owner of the Sinclair gas station in Brentwood, getting a little emotional about the return of a green dinosaur character, affectionately dubbed Claire. She usually sits on the busy San Vicente street corner by his business. Saturday, September 27th, Claire was taken. A week and a day later, she was returned. In this video, you can see the vehicle roll up and the 4-foot fiberglass dinosaur brought home again.
This morning, my cashier went in again to open up, and she called me right away, and she says, "You'll never believe it. Claire's back." Claire, she was dropped off in a white sheet wrapped around her, taped up with a note. "I'm sorry that I took Claire, your dinosaur. Please don't press charges."
Monday, customers were jubilant, posing with Claire. At the holidays, she's dressed up. I got into the act, too. So the locals tell me that Claire is kind of a team mascot, a good luck charm, if you will. So, of course, you know that I'm going to have to bring Dodger merch, as my boys in blue hope to bring home another ring. Afterwards, she was loaded up and carted away by employees inside until she can be bolted down safely outside. No hard feelings here.
I feel bad for somebody that has to steal, and I don't want to make their life any more miserable maybe than it is already.
All right, great to see that Claire is back where she belongs. That was Fox 11's Laura Diaz reporting tonight. By the way, the owner of that gas station says that while he did file a police report, he does not plan on pressing charges if any arrests are made in this case. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching as always. And a quick reminder before we head out here that you can stay up to date on all the big stories we're covering at our website, westcoastwrap.com, and stream our shows on your smart TV. Just download that free Fox Local app. Have a great night.